Hey everyone, welcome to R1A. My name is Matthew and I'm going to be showing you my entire pack, how I pack it, organize it, and this is after about a 3-day trip to Algonquin Park. I'll bring you through the itinerary and then we'll get unpacking this guy. So I'll show you a map on Google Maps right now. Alright, so this is Jeff's Maps, which is no longer available online actually, so I'm glad I have this download of it on Google Earth. But I went in a very common entrance area in Algonquin Park, which is entrance number 5. And here is great because I can just drive in along Highway 60, park my car, pick up a rental canoe because I don't own one, and then I'm in the water within 10-15 minutes. So it's really convenient when you just want to get out in the backcountry. From there, I canoed north all the way up through Canoe Lake, which is a wonderful lake if you ever get the chance to visit it. There's a couple camps, like sort of camps for kids for getaways here. You pass by, so it's really nice. It can get busy in the summer months. You just see tons of canoes. But the more you get in and the further you get in, the less busy it gets. So I continued up here up until the first portage, which is right about here, which is a very short portage, about 500 meters, if that, right? And then as soon as I got in, I camped all the way up just right here on this site, so Joe Lake in the East Arm. And I stayed there just for one night. For the second and third nights, I went up past TP Lake and up Little Ox Tongue River, and I think I grabbed the first site on Little Doe, which is pretty much right here, which is a great site, by the way. I really liked this one. And that's where I stayed for 2 nights. So I think it was like 3 days total with me and my dog. And then from that, on day 3, just all the way back home. All the way back down, and then I was out of there and on the way home. All right, and so here's my kit. This is a pretty nice black diamond bag. They don't sell it anymore. It's discontinued, but it's been holding strong. I've had it for like over 5 years. It's one of those more burly backpacks. I chose this over maybe like a lighter, more expensive one because the lighter ones are great if you are hiking the PCT and you're going really far and you're putting in a lot of kilometers. They're spending the extra money or having less options like pouches or packs or less volume and saving weight. That's a real value there. With my type of camping and hiking, I'm never really doing huge distances like a PCT and traveling 20 kilometers a day, 30 kilometers a day for months on end. So I went for a more burly pack that's larger. It's not even that large if you think about it. It's about 55 liters. So I've seen larger and I'm planning to upgrade eventually, but definitely the burly pack that's sturdy. It's lasted a while. On the front of my pack, I typically keep my tent on the outside. This is a larger 3-person tent by Mountain Hardware. I usually, when I'm going solo, just bring a single-person tent, but I had the dog with me, and we were portaging and not traveling far, as you saw on the map. So just having a nice, spacious 3-person tent was awesome, and I just keep that on the outside. Let's get this out of the way for you. All right. On the side here, I have like a really cheap Z-fold mat. It's not the Thermos one, it's from Decathlon. It was like 20-30 bucks, but hey, it was great. It did the job. This is more for Scout, my dog. So when he comes in at night to sleep on the tent, his nails aren't damaging the tent floor. Comes in handy when he's on the canoe. I could put this down on the canoe so he's not sitting in puddles of water the entire time, which can make things uncomfortable. And it's handy for me too, because at the odd time you just want to lie down on the floor on a pad, and that's what it's for. So a lot of uses for this. I'd recommend carrying it always. On the outside of the pack as well, on this side, you can see I have the water bottle. So let me pull that guy out. Here I use the Clean Canteen, and inside, squished in here, is just a nested cup. So this is awesome in that when I don't have a pot kit or I don't want to carry anything else, I can just grab this and go. Has water in it. I could boil in this. As you can see, I put this in the fire and heated water up in it. And I also have the cup, so I can cook in this as well and use them together if I need to. And they pack away nice and neat. On the other side of the pack, I have, what do I got? I've got the Silky Gomboy. So this is the Silky Big Boy. It's great. It's perfect size for where I go and the wood I cut. I am tempted to get a larger one. I've been watching Seasons of Alone, and there's like one called the Katana 600, and you could just process huge amounts of wood and logs, and I just love it. So I love like cutting down the trees that are dead and burning lots of wood. So I'm thinking of getting that one, but for now this thing will do. It's really handy. It's a perfect size. A lot of people have a smaller one. I'll say from every review I've seen online, and anybody who's ever upsized their saw, they never go smaller. They never go back down. So if I got the Katana, I think it's the Katana 600 or 650, I wouldn't downgrade. But this I found to be a perfect size. So here you go, Silky Gomboy. All right. On that note of me loving to cut down dead trees, not live ones, to get a good fire going because I cook over it. It's has a great morale boost. In Algonquin, there's a lot of traffic, and so all the trees you might just cut down with the saw and cut into logs are heavily processed. There's not a lot of them, and so what a lot of people don't do is they don't bring a large saw, and they don't bring an axe. So the larger trees that are that are dead and standing, that you have to chop and put into logs and smaller cords through chopping it, are widely available and just right by the campsite, so it's easy to process a lot of wood because a lot of people can't access it. And so that's why I brought this axe. This is like a 28-inch Gerber. It's actually manufactured by Fiskars, I think, but it's been great. I got a leather head for it. It comes with some plastic protective covering. That's junk. I'd recommend you replace it right away. This thing I got on eBay for 20 bucks, and I'll share it in the description as a link. Totally worth it. What else do I got? Canada flag. This I use a lot when I go portaging, especially because when I went camping, it was a Canada Day long weekend. This I just can put up on the site. People can see it's been taken, so they don't approach the site and say, oh man, there's a tent there, I wanted to camp there. And just repping Canada on Canada Day long weekend as well. So here you go. All right, let's open up the hood of the pack. Some people might call the Claymore pouch. Let's see what we got in here. So I got a bunch of stuff. I have insect repellent that I did not bring there. I found this, so I just brought it back to maybe use at some point. I don't really use insect repellent. I don't like it, like the stuff. But I didn't want to leave it on the site as waste, so I brought it back. This is, I guess, my stove. It's a regular Esbit stove. I have hexamine tabs in here, not the actual Esbit hexamine tablets. These are Coughlin's ones I used to replace them because they're just more cost effective and they're the same thing. This is a great little stove, so you kind of just place it here like that, and you could throw your canteen on top of it. I'll give you an example. I might need to tilt this in just a bit. And this was handy if I needed to cook on it for some reason or to heat water up. Another reason it's handy is because these tablets you could just light and use as a fire starter, as a tinder. You'd only really need to do that if it was wet out. Otherwise, you could use some birch bark. So these hexamine tabs have multiple uses, which are great. So I can cook with them and I can start a fire with them, especially in wet weather. This I didn't need to use over the weekend I was there. This is more just for backup. If it was pouring rain, I can't cook over the fire, then I'm going to be using this. But it's always good to have as a backup. All right, poop bags for the dog. And what else do I got in here? So I have a bunch of stuff. I just kind of lashed in here in the hood, and there's a clip, and I have cords in here. This is where if I'm opening up the brain of my pack to get something, everything just doesn't just pour out and I lose some stuff. So it's always clipped in here, and everything is always locked up safely. So let me take it all out and I'll show you what's all in here. I think that's everything. Cool. So I've got this comb. This is for scouts. This is the kind of fine-tooth comb to take out any burrs, check for ticks, take ticks out if I need to, and really just brush them if I need before bed to keep them nice and neat. Standard headlight. I just brought one. It's okay. It's standard waterproof. One of these that broke, and this is a Black Diamond one. And Black Diamond is great. They warranted it without any questions and sent me a new one. So that's good. They stand by their products. This is the Astro. It's just your basic run-of-the-mill. I think it's like 25 bucks. And I just brought this single one. As a backup, I had my phone if I really needed to do that. But again, we're 4 days in Algonquin Park, so there's nothing I was too worried about if I lost my one light. And here it is. Whistle, just in case. I was canoeing with this dog, so if I tip or anything, I could get this whistle and call for assistance. I was thinking in hindsight that this should be on my body or on my PFD, personal flotation device, rather than in the hood of the pack, because if we're flipping and there's an emergency, it'd be hard for me to get to my pack, unzip it, take this out. So next time I'm just going to keep one in on my body when I'm on the canoe. And my titanium spoon. So I've had tons of utensils. I think I mentioned this in my last video. This just long stem spoon has been the most practical, is the one I like the most, and has been the most reliable as well. So if you're looking at getting utensils to go camping with, just spend a little bit of extra money. These aren't even too expensive. I think they're 20 bucks, 25 bucks, and get a long handle spoon, and you can eat most things with it. And it's really convenient, especially if you're like in a mountain house pack or anything else. And compass. I've been to Algonquin Park enough times where I know that place like the back of my hand, or the immediate vicinity of Canoe Lake, entrance number 5. But it's always really important to have a compass with you wherever you are, so you could kind of capture your bearings and find a way back in reference to a map. So this guy is, if you have the map in your head, sure, but you always need a map with this, and it's always good to practice some basic orienteering skills with the compass. Open this guy up. What do I got underneath? All right. Take this out of the way. So underneath, I've got some of my personal meds, headphones, in case I want to listen to music or a podcast. I was listening to, what was I listening to when I was there? Tim Kennedy's new book. I forgot the title of it, but so far it's pretty interesting. So I got his audiobook. I did bring a Kindle e-reader as well to read some books as well. I was reading, I think its name is Barlin Ebdo, Executive Outcomes. He ran a security company in South Africa, and it's a really good book. I will link to that as well. It's really interesting. I have my waterproof notebook in case I need to write anything down. What else do I got in here? I have some fishing hooks and fishing line. I had planned to use this when it's out there, didn't actually get around to it. Again, I've been watching Seasons of Alone, and so I wanted to kind of make my own rod and practice this when I was out there. Just didn't do it, so maybe next time. And things in here underneath the hood of the pack is usually where I keep a bit more of the important stuff. Stuff I'm afraid I don't want to get crushed in the main body of the pack, and I don't want to lose. So low stuff I don't access often goes in here. All right, let me show you the front. What I have in here. So on the front of the pack, what do I got? TP, quick easy access. I have here a bubble jacket. I'll open it up. So I don't really carry a sweater or anything when I get out there. Here, this is just a down-filled puffy jacket. It folds up really nicely. So if I get on site and for some reason it's cold, I do have a base layer I carry. There's the clothes on my body. And I also have a rain shell. I'll show you in a minute. And then there's this, which is just a North Face down jacket. And so if I really got cold and needed to stay warm, I could just layer this on top of everything else, my base layer, the shirt I'm wearing, and then I could even put my Gore-Tex shell on top of this. And that could probably manage freezing temperature if I'm moving. If I'm staying still, that's a different story. But of course, if I'm dealing with freezing temperature and I'm going to be staying still as in not moving, then I'm packing a totally different kit. So for like a summer kit, this is perfect. On another note, one thing I might do is if I get the chance, I might switch to a synthetic one. This one, because if this gets wet, we all know down is pretty useless and difficult to dry if it gets wet. So I'd like to use a synthetic one at some point. But so far, this does the job. What else do I got in here? That's about it. Let's take this out. In the zip in here, I have some sunscreen and I have some camp soap. So this is a Nalgene container, which is very small, and this is where I just put a bit of camp soap. This is more than you need for like an entire week. I see people sometimes bringing the huge camp suds thing, thinking they might need it, but you just need a few drops to wash your face, wash your hair if you need to, if you're out there for longer, and wash some dishes if you even need that. And so like for this stuff in the 3 days I was there, I didn't even touch it, but it's always handy to have. What else do I got? I've got some additional cordage. Again, with cordage, I always have some on my person, but I always have some backup hanks of cordage here in case I need them for any reason. Usually just for fun. I doubt I'd need cordage for emergency, but they do come in handy for emergency things as well because they're just so versatile. But I have 2 hanks of number 8, I think it is, bank line that's tarred. So I've talked about this before, but this is just a very cost-effective option for rope. Paracord, I find a lot of time is overkill for most trips, but paracord is great depending on your trip parameters. So just think about it and choose the right cordage for your trip. All right, let's get the insides open. Ugh. All right, so just stuffed all in here in any way. Well, not in any way. It's a particular way because it's a tight pack. So let me actually start from the top down. That'll make more sense. So right now this is empty, but this was filled with food. And what did I do? I did a bunch of homemade dehydrated food. So I did like things like pasta and curry and brought rice. And I had a couple other bars and odds and ends food, and of course the dog food for scouts. And that goes always in the top because usually when I get to the site, unload the canoe out the water, unload everything, open up the top of the pack. I'm taking this out right away because I'm usually just getting ready to cook something. So this always goes to the top. Another thing too is this is a thick, heavy dry bag. It's not like one of those flimsy or nylon ones. And the reason I use one as a food bag is because I could easily tie some of my bank line I just showed you to it and use it as a bear hang. And it's just a little more sturdy to be tossed around and have it as a bear hang. Okay. Next from the top are shoved in anyway are my backup boots. So these are the Danner Tachyons. These are the canvas versions with like a synthetic material, so they're not leather. There's a lot of different versions of the Danner Tachyons. There's like rough out leather, there's a polished leather, there's a leather with GTX lining, Gore-Tex lining. These are just synthetic with no lining, so they dry quick and they get wet quick. So I have another pair of boots I wear when I'm portaging. These are when I get to campsite. I can throw on a dry pair of boots and move around in these. I use these because they're just nice to have around the site. And when I'm moving around back at the campsite, getting firewood, chopping things, cutting things down, I don't want to do those in flip-flops or not really sneakers even. So this is really handy. This has the added feature of they compress really well into my pack. And if I have a boot failure for any reason, which I doubt I would, this is just another peace of mind. I have a second pair of boots. So I've been carrying these more and more on most of my trips. Next from the top is my Alpine Stowaway pot. So this has been great. This is the first time I used it on this trip, and I cooked rice in it. I rehydrated my food in it. I'd recommend this to anyone. This is the, I don't remember the size. I think it's the 1.5 liter, and it worked great. I think when I was headed out, I just put my first aid kit in there. Usually it's in the hood of my pack, but there's my IFAK. And yeah, it worked well over the fire. Having the lid on there is great. It keeps ashes in, let me simmer my rice and cook everything. The handle works well. It's just the right amount of tension. So if I need to pour some water out, it doesn't like easily flop over. And this can be tightened to make it even more stiff if I need to. But just being able to have that here, have that lid, and then just lock everything down in a nice kit, this worked well. And this is a steel pot, so it'll be a lot sturdier. I don't have to worry about it denting or cracking or anything. It'll last longer versus, let's say, an aluminum pot. So definite recommendation. Next from the top, I'm getting into where I could just show you from the front. So I have my Shamag. Again, super awesome piece of kit. Everyone should have something like this where I could use it as a towel to towel off. So when I took a bath up in Algonquin, I was able to, or took a dip in the water, there's no baths up there, I was able to use it to dry off. It dries off really quick because it's like a linen essentially. And when I was in the evenings, when it was a bit cooler, I did use it as a scarf, but it has tons of uses. Dry pots with it, anything. So piece of cloth, it's awesome. Next from the top, I had my camp chair. So just a regular camp chair. A lot of the times I don't pack camp chairs. The only time I do is when I'm portaging, because just usually you're glamping in a way. So you have room for this heavier extra kit. A lot of the times I'm just on the floor on whatever camp furniture is there that's available. But this was great to have, and it's super luxurious. I love having camp chairs when I have the opportunity. All right, coming down into the middle of the pack is a tarp. So I had my tarp here. This thing I obviously didn't pack back fully and properly. I think I'm just packing up and getting the hell out of there. But this is just like a regular Amazon tarp. What is it, U-Edge? It's okay. It worked pretty well. I liked it. It didn't really have a huge downpour, but I've had brands like this before, and they all work pretty good. So tarp's handy to have. Because this is actually a kit I'd always recommend bringing as well, in that it could be an impromptu shelter if you needed to, protects you from rain, protects you from sunlight if it's really sunny out, and it could deal with wind really well if it's a good quality tarp and you put it up properly. Because if it's raining and you're just stuck in your tent for 5-6 hours, that sucks. When you have the tarp, it just lets you be outside even with the rain, which makes things a lot more tolerable. So tarp, core piece of kit. Next is the platypus. Again, this is the gravity filter. This is my 4 liter. So this worked great. Again, I filled this up once or twice a day when I was there, and it just cleans the water. It doesn't clean out chemicals, but I'm in Algonquin Park, so I don't need to worry about that. You just got to worry about Giardia and any other parasites, and this takes out 99.99% of that stuff. So if you were to get a water filter, those pump ones or chemical ones, like they all work effectively, but as far as convenience, efficiency, and speed, get any type of gravity filter. You'll thank me. Okay. Base camp pillow. So next in the kit, I have the base camp pillow. This is great. It could be used as a seat. I usually just use it as a regular pillow. It's got some nylon stuffing in there, I think it is, or I'm not sure what the material is, but some type of synthetic stuffing, and it works really well. So I'm going to pull this guy out, and you could just open it up. And when I say you can use it as a seat, you keep it flat so you don't pop it, but you sit on it, and it's squishy and comfortable. And when you need to pump it up, you just let it go, and it'll self-inflate a bit. But you can also just blow it up and have a nice, comfortable pillow. Something like that. There's some grips on the back. This one's from Mech. It's been great. This was like on sale for 19 bucks, and they have pillows Not this particular one, it's discontinued, which is too bad because it's just the perfect size and the way it feels is great. It feels like a real pillow, but they have similar ones now that you can get. So for me, this is a bit of a luxury, but it's worth it. When you get good sleep in the field, it's priceless. So I'd recommend this as well. This is something I always bring with me also. While we're on sleep kit, this is, I think it's called the Vect Air. Again, it's an insulated one. I want to say it's about a 4.0. Don't quote me on that. But this is great as well. Awesome sleeping pad. Again, it's a luxury. And it keeps me pretty warm at nights. I just have my sleeping kit, my sleeping bag on top of me. It's not even zipped up. I'm not even in there. Of course, we're in the summer months in Canada, so of course. But even in cooler, when it's dropped down to about -5 weather, it's been keeping me really warm. So I would use this as my 4-season pad. I don't mind the size. You can see as far as a sleeping pad goes, it's a little larger when it's packed up. But for the comfort and warmth, it's, for me, again, sleep in the field is priceless, especially when we've been working all day. I got through half the bottle in 3 days. Not bad. And I have a Baofeng radio. So this, I usually use it just as an FM radio, which this has built in, and I have the flex antenna. So when I get to site, I just put this in. I don't travel with it, the antenna in, because it's inside the kit, and I don't bag, and I don't want it to break. But this guy, you just got this on Amazon, and it's, there you go, there's your antenna. I didn't bring the old antenna, and I wish I did, so I could test one versus the other to see if this even made a difference. But it is pretty cool, I like it, and so I'll have to test it out someday, see if it improves frequency or anything like that. Or not frequency, but improves reception. I also like to play with the ham frequencies to see what I can hear in the backcountry, and so that's pretty fun as well. So this is my Baofeng radio. And that's about the middle of the pack. So from the top, I had a lot of the lighter stuff I access very quickly. In the middle of the pack, I have more heavier, weightier stuff because I want that in the middle of the pack, and that gets stuffed in. The stuff that's actually the heaviest and most dense, strangely enough, is this guy, which empties the entire pack, is my sleeping bag and my clothes. So this is another dry sack within the bag. So when I'm portaging, this is like a water resistant bag. I've actually had this dunked in the water and it stayed dry. That's because it's so compact. There's not a lot of air in there. Water is hard to get in. But if this was left in the water, it would saturate and everything inside would get wet. And when you're wet, what you don't want to get wet is, you don't want to be wet without any change of clothes, and you don't want your sleeping bag to be wet, because then you could be in deep trouble overnight. Even in a summer month, if it were to drop cooler, like 10 degrees, and you're not dry, and you don't have a sleeping bag, you could be in for a really rough night if you don't have enough fire and you don't know how to keep warm. So having this extra just waterproof bag to have my clothes in here and my sleeping bag has been great. It's saved my butt more than once. Again, there's like a nice snout here of where once it's empty, I can use this to quickly and easily hook up to my sleeping pad and blow that up very quickly. Is that everything? Again, IFAK is usually in the hood. I'll put that over here. And that's it. I mean, in this section, I have my toothbrush. I do have in the waist pouch, I don't have it in here now because I took it out. Usually in here I have a bug net, which did come in handy as I was getting the fire set up. Nothing's worse than messing with like a flint or a metal match, and you're just trying to mess with birch bark and there's bugs in your ears and your face because you haven't started the fires yet. So having just a quick little head mesh is really great. I might have an example here. Oh yeah, here it is. Awesome. So it's just like this guy. I'm going to put it right back in right now so I don't forget it for next time. That is just always there. Again, this small mesh are things that are like worth their weight in gold. Can really make or break a trip if you don't have a bug net, especially because I don't use bug spray either. On this side, chapstick, so I don't have crusty lips, and a roll of duct tape. This is great as well too. This is one of those things that they're really light, it's easy, it's out of the way in your side pocket, but it has so many uses. For example, on this trip it came in handy of where because I rented my canoe as a one-person canoe, they gave me kayak paddles. And in the kayak paddles, they have these round protectors just behind the paddle to protect water from dripping down. But they were loose and just kept falling towards my hand, and water is dripping in. I was able to put those to the end of the paddle and tape around it to keep it up and keep water from dripping through. So it just made my entire paddling trip a lot easier. And there's just tons of things that this has come in handy for. So always have some electric tape with you. And that's it. That's my whole bag. That's everything I brought on this trip. So yeah, awesome guys. Thank you so much for sticking with me through that. If you have any questions, just post them down below. I'd love to answer them. Other than that, take care. Thanks.